Thanks for watching the Docker with .NET section of the Getting Started with Docker course. In this lesson, we learned how to work with Docker in a .NET application, whether we installed it initially with our .NET Core application or whether we add it later. So we played around with, just starting out from scratch. We looked at, how we can look at the container using that extension for Visual Studio, and how we can start it and stop it and delete the container right from inside Visual Studio. We also looked at how to browse the files in that running container. And then we looked at the Docker file itself and how it's configured and what the thought process was that went into the different steps or different layers of that Docker file. We even looked at the commands that Microsoft runs in order to attach the debugger and all those other things it does. And then we looked at also how we can go through the full build process, not just the debug process, but the full build process, setting it up for release instead, and how that changes what goes into our images. So that was an overview of how to work with Docker inside .NET, and really that's all we need to get started and get going. There's not a lot to it. It's fairly simple stuff as far as using it goes. Now, yes, there's a lot of complexities that are behind the scenes that Microsoft does for us. Just like there's a lot of complexities behind a WPF app or an ASP.NET MVC application. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but the stuff that we use gets pretty simple, and that's what we've got with Docker. It just works. Now, in our next series, or our next section, we're going to look at how to run the various commands on the command line to get the most out of Docker. So Microsoft did some cool stuff with the command line, and we're going to look at how we can do something similar and other things as well for our containers. So that's our next section. So come on back for that one next.